Hey everyone, welcome back to another fantastic sponsor and a sponsor spotlight for EP Mixer Orlando. Um, and just so we're clear, that's happening on Wednesday, September 25th in Orlando at Dave and Buster's on iDrive. If you haven't registered, please head over to the website, epmixer.com, and get yourself registered. But until then, we got a great interview in store for you. And we are talking to one of our fantastic sponsors from Fallen Angel Security Solutions. We have with us today CJ Nelson. CJ, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I'm excited and looking forward to it.
Good.
I'm going to try to be there. I'm going to try to be there. Kind of busy, but you're as busy as the rest of us, so you know how it is.
No, I do. I have to be there. People start asking questions if I dip out of my own event,
Yeah,
our own
absolutely.
production of event. It's all you guys make it possible. So thank you for that. But let's, as you said, busy guy. Tell us about Fallen Angel. Tell us about you, how it started, whatever you want to share, your company, your time, and go.
Yeah, so we officially started in 2019. So me personally, I grew up small town Oklahoma, blue collar mindset. Right, nothing was handed to me. Learned the value of hard work from a young age. So you and I spoke a little bit on it. We won't get too deep into it because that's a long conversation, right? But no prior military or Leo. I started out with the Bureau of Indian Affairs as a private contractor, right? So armed federal contractor. And from there, I was a bouncer through college, just trying to make extra money, and
Sure.
met a lot of great people along the way, and saw some guys in suits doing some pretty cool stuff. So I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. Fallen Angel itself started out as a training company, as a lot of them do. I was actually working for two ultra high net worth private families, which I'm still a part of as their head of security. And I was like, man, I'm going to open the doors on something. So we do firearms, medical, CCW, executive protection, and we do a smattering of other things. And then the past 2.5 years, we've actually opened up as a security company where we do executive protection. We've been all over as security advisors, which you and I talked a little bit about. We also do unarmed security, armed security, emergency response, and hostile termination. A lot of stuff, right? Every avenue that we can think of, and that we're going to train specifically for. So we do all of those things.
Yeah, all the things, and when you're a relatively young company, as with my business, All Protectors, or so many. Let's call it in the last 5 years that you've opened up, like you're young, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it
Yeah.
is, and some might call it even under 10 because you haven't made it, yet. Um, you spend time figuring out where you fit, what customers are willing to buy from you, what you like doing, and on even all the things that kind of have to go into it. Um,
Right.
so I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
What's coming up in the next 6, 12, 18 months, that's something that you're excited about for either yourself or for Fallen Angel?
So we're really excited about. We just came up with. I just came up with basically a grand slam offer, right? So it's called our executive protection and training protocol. And what that is any new client that signs on with Fallen Angel, you get massive amounts of value just with signing on as a new client, right? It's a kind of like the old Godfather, right? Make them an offer that they can't refuse. And so any of our armed security services, right? That is armed, ERT, dignitary, or executive protection. So when you sign on with those, you will get all these are bonuses and they're completely free of charge. All right. So you will get residential security agents for C-suite executive if it's at a corporate level, or ultra high net worth family, any of that stuff, right? You'll get security drivers, security drone operators, which we are capable of. I have very good buddies that do that for, let's just say high aerial risk assessments or event coverage if they want anything like that. And then in lieu and on top of that, we will bring in active shooter training. We will bring in safe curriculum. which is another type of training, which stands for situational awareness for employees. We also use unit solutions and their force on force equipment if they want a totally immersive active shooter training. And those are stamped by the ATF as not a firearm. So we can actually do federal, state, and local government buildings. Let's see what else comes on that. I actually just sent this proposal last night. TCCC for anyone that is interested in pre-hospital care. And then a lot of bonus add-ons, right? So personal IFACs for any of the employees that would like them, VR, virtual reality, active shooter training on the screens to get them even more immersive. And just different things, right? So we're not only protecting them and making sure that they are handled 24/7, but we actually want to bring security along with education to their employees. So we're pretty excited about that. We just finished up all the paperwork, and we're getting ready to market and push that out pretty heavy. So
awesome. Cool. Well, I like the idea. And I think I had this conversation not too long ago. It might have been with Mike as we were talking beforehand. Where, okay, you know, the people paying the bill, right? You know, whether it's the company or the CEO or however it's happening. Yeah, okay, that's great. From 9 to 5, so to speak, everybody's covered if they're in the building. But what are we showing them? What kind of value are we giving to them outside of that? Like, when they're with their families, are we allowing them? Are we offering something that makes them feel safe, or makes, I don't want to say makes them feel safe. Boy, that's the wrong terminology. What makes them safe? What
right.
are the things that what else comes with that? And if they're thinking about it, they can take that from work and just apply it, damn near anywhere, right? When they're out to dinner with their family, or they're going to the movie theater, or sitting at the grocery store, they're playing mini golf, whatever, the skills that are coming along with that, with the active shooter training, or any of the training any of the medical training, certainly, not only goes with them or stays with them at work, but it goes with them when they go home. And
Yeah.
was that something that you were thinking about? Or that's just a happy byproduct of what, of what you're teaching.
Man, to be honest, it was in our mindsets, right? And I think, I used to say the last couple of years, and I don't know if I coined it, I doubt it, because there's, several great people way before us that have been doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, if you lose passion, you lose progression, right? So I truly believe that anyone in our line of work, or anybody on a day-to-day basis, right? Our job is to get them to take a break from that phone, right? When they're pushing a shopping cart, they shouldn't be looking down at their feet. And even when they're at a safe work environment, right? The more people that are aware, see something, say something, then that's phenomenal. I've had some of my top managers with me when I tell clients, say, the best day of your life is when you no longer need us. And that means, one, you're safe, or two, you are capable enough yourself to be like, hey, I appreciate everything you guys have done. But the education that you brought along with your services has actually made us more secure as a company and or a household. And that brings, pure joy.
Yeah. That's cool. And that's, I feel like that's a little bit along the lines of, like, people that, they open a, somebody, I want to say they open, but somebody, you bring somebody in, they're a protege, and then they go out and start doing what you're doing. They start their own business. They move on, they move up the ranks, things like that. It's like, what greater, I would say, what greater reward, right? But depending on how you're looking at it, and how you feel about that person, or what your mission is in your business or in life, to then help push them to the next level. And in this case, is exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, you brought us so much value, so much education. We've done so much together that we feel like we're on our way on our own. Which you may lose a little business for that, but boy, they might go out and tell. If you have a good experience, they might go out and tell 4 people, and one of them books, and then you're back in business again, and on and on and on, which is the iteration of it. So that's cool. I love hearing like that, hearing stuff like that. So with all that said, what motivates a company like yours to sponsor an event like a networking event, or in this case, the EP Mixer, and does it align? And I would imagine that it does. Does it align with what your business, what you want your business to be?
Absolutely, right. And so we kind of touched on it. We are a younger company, right? And networking is very powerful, and getting with like-minded people that their character values align with my own. And I've spoken with you. I know guys throughout the past that have sponsored the mixer, and they continue to. And I think once you have a core group of people that are collective and they have the same mindset, that it's more powerful than people can realize. You're not only in a room full of type A former operators or people with a protective mindset, but you're also in a room with people that are very knowledgeable, right? And it goes beyond a certain facet of what people think that EP is. And I'm not I'm not bashing anybody, right? The drive fast, run quick, and shoot a lot EP schools and stuff I love it, right? The hard skills are needed sometimes in this job. It's an accoutrement of the job. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But fighting with your mind is rule number one, right? And we can all agree on that. What was it? I can't even remember. But if you get into a gunfight, then the advance was probably done improperly, right? If something goes wrong, right. Then something hindered that at the beginning, right? So A to B back to A. And there are a bunch of avenues to do that. So it definitely aligns with what we're trying to do. And ever since you and I first met, we've been talking throughout the last couple of months, man. It's just, it's been phenomenal, right? And where you stand and what you're bringing to the table, I truly believe in. And we can only get stronger and grow exponentially more, the more that we push this.
Well, I thank you for saying that, and agreed. There's always something to learn, right? And you didn't go the direction I thought you were going to go when you said this, but you get everybody into that room, you got all the type A's and all the the hard skills and all that stuff, and it goes beyond that, and it goes beyond that in just the experience sometimes off the field, right? It's not all. It's you got plenty of stories that are great, and it was funny. I talked to my my essentially the co-producer and co-host of EP Mixer with Christian West, and he's like, people will ask me, to tell them, what some kind of crazy story from, doing EP all over the world. I forget how many countries he's been to, but he's been to a ton of them. And and he's like, well, you want to hear a crazy story? Do I tell him about the time I sat outside a boardroom for 12 hours in the Silicon Valley, or the time I spent 18 hours in a car waiting for my my protectee in the in India? He's like, there's sometimes there's a misperception of what the job actually is, and I'm sure Hollywood has nothing to do with that. But if you've done it long enough for at any level of profession, that you're kind of what it is. Well, then it's like, all right, well, if that's what the job is, what do I do in those 12 hours, or what do I do in those 18 hours? Like, you got to be vigilant. But what else, or what am I doing off the field that will allow me to I don't know, be better, whatever the case is. Like, what is that? What does it look like when I'm not working, or I am stuck on that job where I'm sitting in a car for 16, 18 hours a day, at length. I'm on a week-long detail. I sat in a guy's driveway one time for 7 days for 12 hours a day, because of a belief he had about some beef that he had with some other person.
Right.
And what do you do for that time? So anyway, like I said, we could go on and on with all that, but it's like, what else is there besides doing the job, that could be in that room? And like you said, there's a ton of experience that people, that they bring to that they bring to the table. So yeah. Are there, maybe you got into this a little bit, and when I put these questions together, they started to kind of cascade into one another, and I didn't necessarily mean for that to happen.
That's all right.
But but if we've already answered this, we can go by it. But are there any key messages or brand values you want to communicate through your sponsorship? Just if you're not there, and CJ doesn't get to talk to anybody at the event, just knowing that you're part of it, what is it that you are hoping to kind of bring attention to, or bring to the table, or what, the values that you have around networking?
Well, I would have to say that, I tell people sometimes, I'm 32 years old, but I'm really 75 years old. And what I mean by that, right, is I was raised old school, like I said, blue collar mentality, and One thing I would like to, let people know is there are newer companies out there with still the morals and values of not the old ways, but should I say traditional, where we work on our craft, we work on everything that that encompasses, and that I guess not every company is the same when it comes to the capabilities, but we should really, it's kind of what, like Michael said in his interview, right? Go out there, shake hands, really meet people, really understand what they could do and what they're capable of. And again, I'm not bashing anybody, but I do believe that there are a lot of companies now that are seeing a niche within this industry, and especially some of the stuff you put on, right? So they're definitely trying to get with Craig, and they're definitely trying to get in here and make a name for themselves. You're very well connected, and I love that. I just want them to do their part on making this industry better and not hindering their own name, but more importantly, hindering the names of others that actually put a stamp on them. Does that make sense?
100%. It's funny. I was telling you about, I did an interview earlier today with Anton, and that was very something similar to what he had said. It's like getting out there in press and flesh to understand who you are going to maybe share a client with or refer to, or hey, we're not licensed here, but I met somebody at a mixer or anywhere that I've had time, I've done my due diligence, and I think I use with him trust but verify. But it's like, there can be a great face put on to a company and capabilities, but is that really the truth? And especially if it's an online persona, right? It's easy to stay
Right.
on the other side of a camera or a keyboard and say that, yeah, we do this or we do that and all this other stuff. But when you get face to face, the value in that, I think, is you can't quite measure it. However, what you're saying, I think, is that in and of itself is valuable. But you're going to find companies that are that traditional. Like, hey, if I'm looking you face to face in the eye and I'm telling you I can do this, that it's legit, it's true, and you can put your stamp on me, which takes time, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's not just all of a sudden. There's a phrase that the founder of BNI is Business Networking International, worldwide organization for networking. It's called VCP, and it's visibility, credibility, and profitability. But you don't jump from visibility to profitability. It just doesn't happen. At least usually long term. You get some guys that are on the same page, some gals that are on the same page, but it doesn't always work like that. You have to be around to be known. You have to be known and build credibility to be liked and to be trusted. And then eventually you may gain some sort of profit from that, whether it's money, whether it's a referral, whatever the case may be. But it takes time, and so that's just what it is.
Yeah, and I love that you said it, right? I mean, that's just the reality. But it does take time, and there's something powerful in a handshake. And I think another message, I would like to, if there are people out there that are shaking hands that, and they know they're not 100% capable of that, just work a little harder, get back to it, and when you are capable of it, then you start shaking those hands, right? So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, making the intro. Hey, listen, we're not ready yet, but I'll let you know when we are. That kind of deal. Like, let's just some level of transparency. Now, there's a little bit of the entrepreneurial spirit that'll say, listen, say yes and then figure it out. It's like, yeah, but so and that's a hard balance. And that's how we all get started. But also too, having the confidence. Have you prepared, right? Have you gone to the training? Do you study your craft, right? Like you said earlier, are you doing all the things that should give you the confidence to say, yes, I believe that we can actually do this. Not only do I believe it, I know that we can do this. So that's a big, I think, sometimes a big portion of it too. And while nobody's life is in my hands, when I put the first mixer together, I'm like, shit, I don't know what to expect. I know that I can do this, but I don't know what it's going to look like, and I don't know what value people are going to get out of it. But any mixer, since I started doing these, and then certainly when Christian came on board, I've never gotten feedback. I don't say that. I've got 99.9% feedback saying, Craig, I had a great time. So glad that I came. So everybody should be doing this. And so it's just, and then you continue to deliver, but also too, what's the iteration? So you start off offering something through Fallen Angel. Okay. So we got that. How do we make it better? And then how do we make that better? And how do we make that better?
Right.
Again, studying your craft and all that. So I don't mean to keep putting words in your mouth if that's not true, but that's
No,
I
hey,
think we're speaking the same language here.
yes, sir, we are. You're crushing it for me. Just keep,
Yeah, I should really talk less when I'm interviewing you. I get fired
no,
up sometimes, and then that's it. I'm the worst.
I uh,
Um,
I love it. It's a passion.
yeah,
I love
well,
it.
these things certainly are. So, what? And again, this is one of those like we've kind of gotten into. But is there any value that you hope to bring to the attendees um, through a sponsorship, or if you are there, like, is there something that you're hoping that they get out of seeing you? Yeah, well, you talked about being able to shake hands with somebody and the blue collar mindset and all that. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you can think of that like you'd like them I'm sorry, allow the attendees to get from you as a sponsor?
I if I had to narrow it down to one thing, and it's kind of tough, but just the fact that there's still great people out there, and you may not know them yet, but when you meet them, hopefully that connection is instant, and okay, hey, I know that somewhere across the world there are other people that will take care of something that we hold dear to ourselves, whether that's a client or a property or anything, right? Even if this world is crazy. Even if we got a call and you were like, hey, CJ, I've never done this before, but I got family coming to Texas. There's some weird stuff going on, riots or what. Would you mind? Yeah, hey, not a problem, Craig. We'll be there pro bono. You don't even need to worry about it, right? So that's something that I would like to, if I can be there, I'm going to do my best. If not, then yeah, I just want them to realize, there's still great people across the world that are willing to do things for next to nothing, just because this is a passion of all of ours.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's
and we
true.
look after each other.
Yeah, agreed. Is there any we're coming up here on time a little bit. Are there any networking success stories that you'd be willing to share with us? Is there anything that comes to mind? Don't need to name names or anything like that, but just is there a specific situation or anything where you're like, oh, holy cow, I can't believe that happened because I was out meeting people or whatever?
Yeah, honestly, it's the biggest one I have is probably with the two families that I'm still very well involved with as their head of security and stuff like that. So I was working with one in Nevada. I've been with him a long time, and you go meet other people of the same caliber, and started networking with one of his good buddies, and he actually made the introduction. Right, they were really good friends, and he understood that they were having some difficulties in certain areas when it came to could come to threats and things of that nature. So boss man actually one time said, hey, you're doing well here. The team is set up. Why don't you take a month and go set up all of their stuff? And I thought that was really cool coming from a client, and not actually, getting some of them get very,
Sure.
protective. Some of them were like, nah, you guys are mine. So that's one networking story that I've always held dear to me because they're still very good friends, and I'm very much involved in that. That's who I'm flying out tonight to actually go run a detail for. So, and then meeting you, man, I believe this is gonna turn into something great. Like I said, we've been talking over the last couple months, and if I'm not there this time, I will be next time. Like I said, I've known a lot of people that have sponsored, and I'm chomping at the bit to just be able to text you here in a couple of weeks and be like, yeah, man, I'm on the way. But I don't know for sure right now.
Right. No, I gotcha. That's the nature of the business, right? It's just, I've gotten a number of people like, hey, thanks for the invite, but I can't make it or whatever. So all is forgiven if not. Obviously, I appreciate you one jumping on board, but also two, so do the clients. They don't, or the attendees. They don't even they know now who's helping put this together, right? And none of this happens without the sponsors. So I'm always incredibly grateful for that. So, listen, we're essentially here at time. Got anything else for us? You good? Anything else you want to share before we sign off?
I'm good, man. I just, again, thank you for everything. If anybody needs anything, they can reach us at our website or call me directly, which is on the website as well. So, not to push any hardcore business on anybody, but we're here, we're willing to help, and we're ready to go. So I appreciate everything.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, man. Well, everybody, you heard it here. CJ Nelson from Fallen Angel Security Solution. Go check him out, fallenangel.com. But until then, if he shows, if he doesn't, we're going to miss him. If he's there, we're going to be super happy. But until then, head over to epmixer.com. Get yourself registered for the EP Mixer Orlando happening at Dave & Buster's from 6 to 10 p.m. on Wednesday, September 25th. Wow, that's always just such a mouthful. September 25th, on iDrive there in Orlando. That's all I got. Hope you guys have a great one, and I will talk to you real soon.